Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lilo, and today we're going to be talking about the Tekken 8 community, the brutal honest truth. So this video will really just be me giving my honest opinions on the Tekken 8 community as a whole from an outsider's perspective. Because I'm new to fighting games, like I got top 100 in Sparking Zero, and that's not a real fighting game. I found out that game was garbage once I started to reach like the highest level of it. I realized it was all trash. And then I moved over to Street Fighter 6 about 2 months ago. And I'm a Plat 3, so I'm not like super great at that game yet, not super great at any official fighting games, and I've just watched the Tekken 8 community from afar and just gained some information on it from that. I'm just giving my first impressions on the Tekken 8 community, but first impressions can tell you quite a bit. First off, the community's burning to the ground. Like the entire community is divided and crumbling. It's very similar to the Sparking Zero community because both of them are filled with people who have a deep love for the original property, like the source material. Like people deeply love Tekken as a whole, and people deeply loved Dragon Ball Z as a whole. So even though the product has turned into absolute like garbage, there's a lot of people who are still in denial of that and will play the game anyway. But in Tekken 8's case, there's a far larger number of people who are aware of reality that, yeah, this is not the game that we originally loved. The game is destroyed. The devs have turned it into like a cash grab piece of garbage. But Tekken 8 has straight up shill YouTubers, like definitive shill YouTubers. Their entire goal is to say the popular opinion about Tekken, and that's it. Anytime there's any bit of valid criticism of the game, they will insult those people or like gaslight those people and ratio them on apps like Twitter. You could be on Twitter and you could say a take that's 100% accurate, valid criticism that's just objectively right about the Tekken 8 game. Then one of these people who has a much larger following than you, they have like 100,000 people following them, they'll say something that's objectively wrong about the state of the game, and they'll still get tons and tons of likes because they have a large fan base that's not really thinking critically about what's happening. They're seeing that a creator that they've grown to really like has an opinion, and that opinion is being attacked, so they're just going to defend the creator, whether the creator's in the right or not. They don't really care about that. They care that this is a creator I like, so I'm going to support him. So that's one thing that happened in the Tekken 8 community, and I think that happened continuously throughout Season 1. It's not the whole reason, but it did have some influence over why Season 2 is now just a complete ruined garbage mess. When I look at Season 2 gameplay, it reminds me 100% of Sparking Zero. They even have the same bugs. Like in Sparking Zero, there's a bug where like you're punching people and your punches phase through your opponent's body, and that bug is also in Tekken 8. Like the hitboxes are ruined, and I have my theories on why that is. Moving forward, so you have these shills, and by shill I don't mean that like the company's paying them money to make videos. I mean that they refuse to say anything super harsh about the game because they don't want to lose future opportunities with like the company making the Tekken games. Like if they want to be a commentator in the future, then they better not say anything too harsh. Even if the harsh thoughts are their true real ones, they will never say that in a video. Here's something I legitimately think a lot of these guys do. Like the biggest Tekken 8 YouTubers, I think a lot of them will play the game, absolutely hate it. Then the moment the camera turns off, they're like, man, that game is such garbage. That game is such trash. And then they just turn on Street Fighter 6 and start playing it. I genuinely think that's what a lot of them do. But when they're on camera, they're just sitting there doing like Tekken PR and trying to make Tekken look better than it actually is, even though it's just a broken piece of trash in the current state, which is a real shame because it used to be one of the most beautifully made fighting games of all time, if not the most beautifully made fighting game of all time. Like me personally, I prefer Street Fighter 6. Like I said, I'm new to fighting games. I like Street Fighter 6 more because it's much more balanced and it's like it actually works. But like if these games were both properly made, I probably would have picked Tekken instead, just because I like the ability to move in a three-dimensional space when you're playing a fighting game. It seems like the Tekken 8, if Tekken 8 was polished and actually properly made like previous Tekkens, then I think Tekken 8 would be a deeper game. But in its current state, Tekken 8 is like playing freaking tic-tac-toe. That's one aspect of the Tekken community, is you have really big Tekken YouTubers who do not want to lose future opportunities, so they're going to lie and just say whatever good thing they can about the game, even if they don't believe it. Apparently they've been doing that for a long time, all throughout Season 1 of the game. When there was a lot of valid criticism, the big Tekken YouTubers would like fight back against it. They would gaslight people using their larger fan base and their larger numbers to make valid criticism look like it was a dumb and wild take. Just because they had more numbers, people will like them even if they say something objectively stupid, so they would use that to their advantage and do Tekken PR that way. Going a little more in detail, Now, those same people who were doing Tekken PR that whole time are now trying to do like an amnesia mind wipe on all of the viewers and acting like none of those things they said ever happened. And it's a very weird tactic they're pulling, especially since like a lot of their old videos are still just public. You can just go back and look at their videos from a year ago and see them like blatantly defending Tekken Season 1, but they just pretend like that doesn't exist. Another thing some of these same guys are doing, I literally saw one of them play Street Fighter 6 the other day. That should tell you a lot about the state of Season 2. When even like the most well-recognized shills in the game are playing Street Fighter 6, that tells you that Tekken 8 in its newest season is just straight up unplayable. It's like just so bad that it's frustrating, which is insane. And it also seems like they're trying to get rid of the old legacy player base and replace them with people who will just like mindlessly purchase products. So they just want to make it as like mind-numbingly simple as possible. Seems like that's what's kind of happening there. There's a middle ground portion of people who are in like the 20 to 40K sub range. They're not big YouTubers. They're not small YouTubers. They're somewhere in the middle. And I know that myself because my other YouTube channel is at like 27 or 26,000 subs. Like an unspoken rule about YouTube that I've always viewed it as was like, if you have less than 40,000 subscribers, you're still a small channel. If you're in the range of 40 to 80, you're a medium channel. And then if you have 100,000 subscribers or more, you're a big channel. But also like the average views you get reflect that too, right? Like there's channels that are in the 20 to 40K range, and every time they post a video, they're getting 40 to 100,000 views. So they're a small medium channel, but they pull in views like a bigger channel. And then there's channels that have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and they only pull in like 1,000 or 2,000 views every video. So they're technically a big channel, but they get views like a small one. YouTube is a fascinating place, but there's other YouTubers who are in that middle ground range of like 20 to 40,000 subs, and they just try to toe the line. Like they want to just monetize as much of this stuff as possible. So if things are going really good, they'll talk about the really good stuff. If things are going really bad, they'll talk about the bad stuff. They're not going to directly make enemies. They're not going to throw anyone under the bus. They're not going to be rude to anyone. They're not going to name any names. They're just going to stay right in the middle. And and I think that's kind of respectable. Like I like that they're taking a middle ground approach. They're not trying to make enemies. They're not trying to call people out. That's cool. So that's respectable. And I think that might actually be a wise approach. So that's another part of the Tekken 8 community. The people in the middle, something that they'll do, they can monetize chaos and just pretend that they're ignorant to it the entire time and like claim innocence the entire time. So like they can put people on their streams that are causing tons of chaos in the community, like saying like the most stupid possible takes about the game. Like there's some people who are saying that Season 2 is not that bad. It's still a great game. There's so many good things about it. And then some of these people who toe the line in the middle of the Tekken 8 community like would bring them on stream and let them say their points and then debunk their points on the stream. And then they would claim like, no, I'm not monetizing the chaos. I'm like giving him a chance to explain himself and then correcting him so that the community gets better. It's like, well, two things can be true at once. You're monetizing the chaos and you are, I think at the end of the day, giving a net positive. Like two things can be true. It's like you are monetizing the chaos. You are enjoying it to a certain degree. Otherwise you wouldn't allow it on your streams. But I do think like giving people a chance to say their points and like correcting them is a nice thing, but you also could have just done that with a Discord message. You could have done it in like YouTube comments. Didn't really need to give them stream space to talk and like make a whole video out of it and like make monetized money off of it. It's like you are monetizing the chaos at the end of the day. But if the end result is a net positive, that like that person has a better understanding of the game and he admitted he was wrong with his takes on the game, then I guess there is some positive there. That's something else I noticed too. Every group of these YouTubers has like blatant fanboys where in their eyes their YouTuber can do nothing wrong. So like their YouTuber could be objectively wrong, could be lying straight to the camera, lying straight to your face, and there's still going to be people in the comments blatantly defending them. That's something else I've noticed in the Tekken 8 community. People who defend YouTubers like that, if you push them into a debate, they won't be able to contend with you for very long. They know deep down that they're wrong. So if you start challenging their points, they'll just start replying to you with insults. Like they'll start replying to you with like clown emojis and stuff like that. Instead of actually trying to like have a logical debate with you, they're going to just start insulting you because they know they're wrong. They're hoping that the other people that are like also fanboys of the YouTuber will back them up and like ratio you and make it look like you lost the debate, even if you were the one who was right and they were just defending someone who was objectively wrong. So that happens in the Tekken 8 community from what I've seen. A large part of the Tekken 8 community is just like straight up in denial. They're saying like, okay, if we want to save the game, this and this needs to happen. I think a more logical take is that the game cannot be saved anymore. The game is cooked. The game is absolutely cooked because what they showed to you the developers for a long time. They were asking people, hey, give us a list of what's wrong in the game. Give us a list of everything that is not going well and that we can improve on. Developers shouldn't even be doing that anyway. It's not the player's responsibility to fix the game for you. Like, the developers are supposed to have a deep enough understanding of the game, the legacy game that they're working upon making a sequel to. They're supposed to understand it well enough that they can just create a great game on their own. They shouldn't put out a game in an unfinished state and then ask for the players to say, hey, finish the rest of the game for us. We got it to 80% for you. Can you finish the remaining 20% for us? But that was the approach they took. And then they saw everything people wanted and they just ignored all of it. They said, oh yeah, we got you. We're gonna take care of all these defensive things. We got you. And then they actually did the polar opposite. Okay, so if they're willing to do that now, what makes you think that they're going to suddenly change that when they've already gotten all of these sales for the game? Like, they don't really have to. Like, I see people saying that they're going to boycott the Tekken 8 game, but then I look at the Steam numbers and it doesn't look like people really are doing that. Like, I just looked at the numbers today. It said the daily peak on Steam alone was 6,000 active players. Okay, like, that's not a ton, but it's actually not as low as I thought it would be. Like, especially when you compare it to games like Sparking Zero that are peaking at like 1,000 players daily. I was expecting something like that from Tekken. Like, I was expecting it to drop to about 1,000 because like even in season 1 it was averaging around like 7,000 players, and then like in average I think it dropped around to like 6,500, 7,000 range. It really wasn't that different. Like, all these people saying they're gonna boycott the game and they're gonna stop playing the game, it still has like relatively the same amount of numbers. So it's like they're not really showing like what they were talking about. A counter argument to that is I see a lot of people are playing the Tekken 8 modded version, and I'm unsure if the modded players on Steam are counting towards the player count. I actually don't know that. So, but yeah, it's like if people really wanted to boycott Tekken the way that they were like saying they would, I was expecting the numbers were going to drop to about 1,000 daily. That's what I thought would happen. But by the looks of things, I don't think that'll happen. I think that the game's going to reach a point where it's like 3,000 to 4,000 players daily, but I don't think it's going to go below that. And honestly, 3,000 to 4,000 active daily players, that is like exactly what Fighter Z had. If you go back and you look at Fighter Z's player numbers, and people considered Fighter Z like a great success, and Fighter Z was a very strong game. So I mean, if the game is still at like Fighter Z numbers after all of this garbage, I think it's proving a point that Tekken can just put out complete trash and people are still going to buy it, still going to play it, which is the same thing that happened in the anime gaming community. That's why anime games are just absolute trash, a lot of them. If you're not a fan of the anime itself, most anime fighting games are unplayable because you're just like, this is straight garbage. If you didn't care about these characters, you wouldn't tolerate how bad the game is. So yeah, that's another thing in the Tekken 8 community, is there's just kind of like a sad coping delusion where people think that the game's going to miraculously get better when the developers had all this opportunity to make the game better and then chose to do the exact opposite. It seems like they've kind of decided they don't really care if people like the game or not. They're just going to make it as simple and mind-numbing as possible, so that way like a lot of people who don't really care about fighting games buy it and they can just make as much money as possible. It seems like they care more about money than they do the legacy players. That's just a message I'm getting as a newcomer looking at like the Tekken 8 community as a whole. Finally, the last point I wanted to talk about with the Tekken 8 community is it's just like, as of right now, I'm not subscribed to any Tekken 8 YouTubers at all, just because I haven't found any that like I watch their content and I think, you know what, that's the kind of person I'd want to chill with. That's the kind of person that would be like my homie in real life, like would be a chill person in real life, like does things other than just play fighting games, and it's just like someone I'd actually enjoy hanging out with. The vibe I get from a lot of the Tekken 8 YouTubers and a lot of the Tekken 8 channels is like they're really good at Tekken itself, but then I sense like some unsettling like social tendencies, like stuff that just makes me uncomfortable to the point where I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to just comfortably chill with you outside of playing this game. I was watching this one YouTuber and he's very honest about how trash the game is. And honestly, like me saying all of this, I myself am taking the middle ground stance too, because I'm not trying to make enemies with people. So yeah, I would, if you want to put me into this video somewhere, I would be someone who's trying to take a middle ground stance and just give my honest perspective on like everything that I'm witnessing as a newcomer to the series, because I could name like all these different YouTube channels, but what's the point, you know? Anyway, I was watching this one YouTuber. I'd only seen like 2 or 3 of his videos where he was just talking about how Tekken 8 is a garbage product and how like so many of the big Tekken YouTubers were shills this whole time. So I liked his takes on like just being honest, that we could tell that certain people were Tekken 8 shills. But then when he stopped talking about Tekken, he said a few things that were questionable to me. So here's one. Like, and I'm not gonna say any YouTuber names, but this one guy who was talking about like how Tekken 8 is trash, someone in his comments left a comment like that said something like, y'all are still crying about this video game. And the dude who was doing the stream, he got angry. Like the YouTuber who was doing the stream, he got angry, and he's like, well, what do you expect, man? This is a fighting game YouTube channel. What do you expect? Okay, which is a completely fair thing to say, and I was on board with him there. But then he took it one step further. He said, the moment I saw you write the word y'all, I knew you were low IQ. Now, when you hear that, what does that sound like to you? Because I was watching this happen during a live stream, and I left a comment. I said, did anyone hear him say that? That was pretty wild. That was what I typed in. I said, did anyone hear him say, the moment I heard you say y'all, I knew you were low IQ? Immediately, his like fanboys defenders immediately came out of the woodworks and started like immediately doing PR for him, because that was all I said. I said that was a wild thing to say. And then I got like 3 or 4 different people immediately messaging me saying, hey man, I hope you didn't think that was something racist. I hope you didn't take anything racist out of that. Yeah, then someone else said, oh no, he's just making fun of people who have an accent and use the word y'all. He didn't mean anything racist by it. He's just insulting people who have the accent and say the word y'all specifically. Like, I don't even remember word for word everything I said, but essentially I said something along the lines of like, why would you assume that I thought he was saying something racist about it? You were the one who said that, not me. I just said that sounded wild. And and the first thing you said in his defense was, hey, he didn't mean anything racist by it. I'm not saying that that person is a racist or anything, but that is a messed up thing to say. Because you can't just say because someone has an accent that they are dumb. That is a horrible thing to say. Like, that is just not accurate. And I left a comment saying that. I said, dude, I like your points on Tekken. You're making great Tekken points, but you should not insult people who have an accent and say that they're dumb. Having an accent does not mean you're dumb. You have an accent and you're quite intelligent. And the live streamer, he was in his stream, he read my comment, and then he gave a very disingenuous response. He was like, what do you mean making fun of accents? I'm not making fun of any accents. And then he like changed the subject to a different like example and like just completely ignored that he insulted people who say the word y'all. And I left a follow-up comment. I said, you literally said, the moment I heard you say y'all, you knew they had low IQ. You literally just said that. And he just skimmed past it like I didn't say it. And his like fanboys in the comments were like trying to defend him, calling me a clown, spamming the clown emoji. And I'm like, dude, you guys need to stop like fighting me. Like, the moment you hear an opinion you dislike doesn't mean you need to start like attacking me, right? Or maybe he should expand into that a little further. Like, what did he mean by that specifically? Because just saying that is wild. And I think he said it twice, actually. Like, look, I'm not saying that he's a racist person, but what I am saying is this. I've noticed a trend. People who tend to be on Twitter a lot tend to start saying things like that. Here are 2 key phrases that I hear a lot from people who are on Twitter over the past 2 years. Suddenly, their debate vocabulary starts including these 2 phrases: pattern recognition and low IQ. Those are 2 big things that I see on Twitter all the time. Now, I don't even have a Twitter anymore. I was on Twitter for about like 2 months, like a year ago. And I'll just be honest, if you have even a drop of melanin in your skin, I have no understanding of how you can be on that app without just having your self-worth drop to the floor, or just being continuously very angry, or just getting into debates every 5 seconds. Because when I was on that app during those 2 months, that was probably the most frustrated I had ever been, because my whole timeline was just flooded with racism. That's all it was just racist post after racist post, and I was just getting into arguments with people, like trying to debunk all their points, but I just realized like I was fighting like a never-ending wave of like racist people. And if you have like even a drop of melanin in your skin and you're able to like scroll through that app and it has 0 effect on you, then that low-key is like weird. That's bizarre behavior. It's something that logically doesn't actually make much sense, because you're seeing like a lot of strangers say horrible things about people who look like you and just like mapping that over to you, meaning like if they saw you, they would probably think those same things off rip, and you're just completely okay with that, and like you're bombarding your mind with that. Like, that's bizarre. My assumption is this: I think that person might spend a good amount of time on Twitter, and here's my theory. I think if you spend too much time on that app, your social IQ goes down. Your social IQ points go down if you're on the Twitter app too much. Social IQ isn't even like a real term. By that, what I mean is your ability to relate and empathize with people who are slightly different than you goes down if you spend too much time on Twitter. I can't base that on any scientific facts or anything. I could just notice it in myself, because I was on that app for 2 months, and during that time frame, I started to think everyone in the world hates me. Like, I'm dark as a chocolate bar, bro. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to think like by the time I'm an adult, I don't think racism will exist anymore, because I think that every generation gets slightly less racist, and eventually it'll get to a point where the only people who are racist are the very uneducated. I thought that that's how it would be in the current day and age, but I've noticed over the past like 2 years or so, Twitter just miraculously became a very racist cesspool, where no matter what you're following, no matter what you like, no matter who you have blocked, you scroll on Twitter for about 5 minutes and you're going to see some of the most diabolical hate speech you've ever seen. Here's my theory. It's like untested, but I think that if you spend too much time on that app, terms like your low IQ or terms like pattern recognition just automatically pop into your speech. And that's something I've seen. I'm not saying the fighting game community is racist, but I'm saying I think you guys are spending too much time on Twitter. I think it's like nerfing your ability to connect with other people and actually have a life outside of these games. Like being able to socialize with other people and like understand that like people are different, that doesn't make them bad. And you can't judge like an entire group of people based off of like the bottom 20% of their group. That is like the most illogical thing you could possibly do. Like because I mean, I'll say this because I myself am super black. Like I'm super dark. Like I am mega black, bro. Okay, so it's crazy if you look at like a black doctor or lawyer and you just automatically assume he's a criminal. That's crazy. That's like insane thinking. But I think like being on apps like that like make you more prone to making wild leaps in logic like that. I don't know, it's just a theory, but I do think like being on that app over and over on a daily basis and becoming desensitized to that is not healthy for you socially. That's just my theory, because when I got off that app, I automatically became happier. And I think that like too many people are spending too much time on that app, and it's like degrading your ability to connect with others that are slightly different than you. Because at the end of the day, like we all have way more similarities than differences. We're all just human beings just trying to live our lives. So I don't think we should be like putting so much energy into trying to be divisive. To clarify my point, I'm not calling the person who said like the moment I heard you say y'all, I knew you were low IQ. I'm not calling him racist. But when I heard him say that, it 100% sounded like something he read on Twitter. Like it sounded like a Twitter post, and that just came out of his mouth like nothing. And then he went on about the rest of his stream as if he didn't say it. And I'm just thinking, yeah, I think you guys are spending too much time on Twitter. It's not good for you mentally. And then when I called him out on it, he just scrolled past it, which is like another red flag to me. So that's another thing I noticed. But yeah, these are like my first impressions on the Tekken 8 community. Not saying that the whole community is racist, not saying anything like that, but I am saying I think you guys are spending too much time on Twitter. I think as a whole, the community is like in a very shambled mess. Like there's almost no one telling the truth about the state of the game, and then the people who are telling the truth about the state of the game, it's like I don't even want to subscribe to you, because if I'm watching your content for long periods of time, I just start feeling slightly uncomfortable. Like, would I want to chill with this person in real life? I don't know. Like, these are the vibes I get from the community. Okay, so I don't know. Like I said, I'm a noob to the community myself, completely new to it. This is just my honest take on what I'm seeing from the outside. But I do think that like fighting games are the coolest genre of video games. They're extremely in depth, and they give you like freedom of expression in a way that's very unique. Like it's something that's absent from a lot of other games. But in fighting games, you can really like express yourself similar to how you express yourself in martial arts. Like I do jujitsu, and like me playing Street Fighter 6, like jujitsu is a big motivation for that, because there's this grappler Joseph Chen who made a video talking about how like learning Street Fighter made him better at jujitsu, and like that was part of the reason why I wanted to get into the game anyway. And I've noticed that as well. Like as I've played Street Fighter and learning Street Fighter, as I go to jujitsu, I apply the same mindset, and it's like legitimately helping me. So there's a very interesting mental connection of like freedom of expression and martial arts and fighting games. There's a connection there. But I am just also noticing like I don't even feel comfortable subscribing to anyone. That's my honest state on the Tekken 8 community. They could all be very nice, good people, but this is just my honest first impressions. I look at all these different YouTubers. The biggest YouTubers seem like shills. The middle ground YouTubers, I don't really want to subscribe to them either, because like a lot of the content it's just not my taste. And then like I see some people who are actually saying the honest truth about the state of the game, and then they drop wild out of the blue statements like the moment I heard you say y'all, I knew you were low IQ. It's all crazy stuff. So because that's, I mean, just one more time to reiterate, it's just unfair to say that, because you can have an accent and be a freaking genius. Like so many people have accents and like get PhDs. Like, just because you have an accent doesn't mean that you're lacking intelligence. That is such a crazy take. And one other thing I want to say is, if you're somebody who's speaking for hours and hours and hours, in your live stream speaking for hours and hours, and you add emotion into the mix, you're bound to make mistakes here and there, and that's completely fine. But something else I've noticed is, like, most people aren't really like brave enough to own up to their mistakes. They would much rather just make another video, pretend their mistake never happened, and move on. Yeah, so I just wanted to make this video and just say my honest first impressions on the Tekken community. To summarize all my points, the big YouTubers in Tekken 8, a lot of them seem like shills, and they've gotten to the point where, like, they've given up on the game and now they're just playing Street Fighter off camera. The middle ground YouTubers, they just kind of like monetize all the chaos and don't really care one way or the other. They're just like talking about the big crazy points, and I think that's where I would kind of be. Like, I'm just kind of like observing what's happening and talking about it. And then there's people who are like saying the truth about the game, but I myself don't even feel comfortable subscribing to you because you don't seem like the kind of person I would want to chill with in real life. For the most part, I only subscribe to people I'd want to chill with in real life. Like, examples would be like Dado Doya, Tony Stadavoci, Afro Senju. Like, those are the kind of people, like, they act the way that the people in my real life act, so I comfortably subscribe to them. And it's like, you can tell that there's a difference in social strength. And so here's something else to mention, guys, is like, your ability to socialize is a strength, it's a muscle. So like, if you train it, if you're constantly practicing talking to other people and like working on your weaknesses, your social skills actually improve. But if you just like let them atrophy and never do anything with them, then they don't get that good. Okay, so I don't know, that's just basically my observation of the Tekken 8 community. Let me know what you guys think about all this stuff. Like I said, I'm not trying to like insult people. I just wanted to share my observations. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.